Well, that's the budget for tonight's show eaten up. Good night, everybody.
It must be time for creepy Christmas intros.
Yep, absolutely epic. That's going to be our intro for the next. I think that's going to be for Sundays only. I think the midweek ones we'll do it differently. We'll keep that for Sunday only. So anyway, we'll wait and see what mood I'm in. Anyway,
we don't freak too many people out.
It's brilliant. Anyway,
I'm gonna make an intro sometime with Camembert Electrique.
Go for it. Won't watch it, but there we go. So
bit of gone.
Try again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the the Sunday Advent service. Because thank you. Cat's off my lap now. Finally, it is officially the first month of the season of Christmas. So you can get all your trees up and.
Is it December?
Sorry?
Is it December? Is it December?
It doesn't work that way, mate.
It does.
Yeah, it doesn't. The season of Advent is usually the last Sunday in November, and that is the official start of the Christmas celebration. So go back to your gruel house, Scrooge.
People disgust me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway,
even all right.
So it's good to see the season of cheer has got into.
Hey, I'm talking about Christmas decorations and everything, aren't I? There's no guarantee it's going to happen, but
move it on, shall we? Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's bickering argument between us. What are we going to be talking about tonight? Well, we're talking about a couple of things tonight, but we will be covering later on in the show the Wolf Pack Designs Spitfire Mark 14 and giving not our thoughts, but giving an opinion on that. But in the meantime,
that'll take 15 seconds.
Yes. In the meantime, Drew, I do declare you have now finally got your hands on a Kinetic F-16.
I do.
For which we are very grateful to Raymond Chung and the services of Paul Krupovich and Laurent Stern for their sterling efforts in securing us some copies. So thank you all, but especially Raymond.
Thank you all very, very much all for and just as an aside, this will be the very next project on my bench. So the second I've completed the current project, which is still forever ongoing, it would seem. This will be the very next project, although I will be ringing the changes because I bought those, so I will be doing one of the new Danish dark grey have glass Vipers. So that's the plan for that. So the kit decals will be used for some stuff, but a majority of it's going to be in a very nice Danish have glass scheme, which are very, very clean and very, very shiny. So that will be. We'll have a look at that in a minute. We will. We'll go through that, and we'll. Or do you want to discuss it now?
Yeah, let's discuss it. Well, let's discuss. You got your camera set up there. I'm going to hand over to you, and I'm going to let you give your impressions of the kit.
Okay. Well, my very first impression is pretty much overwhelmingly positive. So, anyway, moving on. So, what were we going to talk about after that? No. Right. So, let's have a look. So yeah, I mean, it's typically Kinetic quality box art these days. It's a Kinetic Gold kit. Now you can see the decals are by Cartograph, designed by FCM. So the quality there is going to be. Although I have heard some stuff about the accuracy of the Norwegian roundels and stuff, but I will leave that to people more knowledgeable on those things than I am. Now, one of the things that's been sort of some controversy is this Magfire, where they were going to provide magnets to mount stores, and so you could change stores in and out. So the kit is set up for it, but as it turns out, the actual Magfire magnets don't come with a kit. Perfectly good reason for that. There are regulations and stuff about loose magnets going in boxings like this. So they couldn't actually include the Magfire magnets as such. But the kit is set up for it. And if you go onto Amazon or eBay, you can get the little 1mm magnets very, very cheaply. These are some I had anyway. So you could still, if you want, make your stores put onable and offable if you want. So that's just getting that out of the way. A lot of people have sort of complained quite heavily about the fact that the Magfire is advertised on the box but doesn't come in a kit. Personally speaking, I think it's a bit of a gimmick anyway, but that's the reason why it doesn't come in the kit. There are regulations surrounding the boxing of magnets in other stuff, so it couldn't happen. But anyway,
Model is complaining. There's a shock.
I know it's a real, you know, what a turn up for the books that was.
Pencil me surprised.
Oh yeah, Kel surprise, etc., etc. So the first thing so you've got this rather, it's kind of unusual in that most F-16s that have been done recently have got a split forward and rear fuselage, but it's kind of split to take account of the twin-seater. So you tend to have the wings molded in with the rear fuselage and the front fuselage is separate. This is the exact opposite in that you've got the front fuselage and wings, which means this will have to be a whole new tooling for the twin-seater, which they've obviously taken into account. And the reason they've done that is because the rear fuselage, there's two completely separate rear fuselages. So there's one for the F-16A fin base, and the other one for the F-16C fin base, which differs in panel detail and stuff between the two variants. So obviously that is going to glue onto there to give you your complete fuselage. I've seen some people are actually building this now, and the fit between the front and rear fuselages looks pretty flawless. So I don't foresee this being a problem. One of the things I noticed earlier was that the kit does come with the IFF bird slicers in place, molded in place on the forward fuselage. I thought that seemed a bit odd initially. Then I thought, well, actually, if you've got to remove them, it's going to be the work. It's probably less trouble to remove them and sand that smooth than it would be to add a completely separate panel with it on, or, you know, different parts on or off. So I'm kind of I'm okay with that. I quite like that as a solution. It's always easier to remove things than it is to add things. Christian, yes, the nose is better than the initial kits in that it's correct this time round. So yes, it is. This is this has nothing in common with the initial Kinetic F-16s. It's completely new tooling. Although while I was looking around the bird slicers here and wondering, there's a pair of holes in the underside you drill through, and looking on one of the other sprues here, just here, is the raised bird slicer panel for the very early sort of ADF variants, which had a sort of very, very raised panel that the bird slicer sat on. So they seem to have covered pretty much the bird slicer and smooth nose bases for that. So I don't think there's going to be too much to complain about from all of the stuff here. You've got the RWR, is it ALE APR 50, I think it is. They're molded on the wing leading edges as well. So for earlier F-16As and AMs and stuff, they will need to be removed. Again, you're looking at a couple of minutes of sanding them smooth and perhaps just going through the panel line with a scriber just to rescribe that very forward panel line. Again, I've seen complaints about this sort of thing, and I'm kind of, it befuddles me, because this is the most basic modeling you can get, really. Just removing these and sanding them, you know, sanding it smooth and restoring a tiny bit of panel detail. I just don't get.
You've said it there. Basic modeling, you know.
Yeah, it is literally the most. It's the same with the bird slicers being molded on the nose there. You know, that is literally the work of what, 90 seconds to carve them away and sand it through with a sanding stick, and then you've got a smooth nose, you know, for the variants that need it. So I'm I'm perfectly happy with it. There's a separate panel here for some of the other F-16C variants that had a small vent here. So that'll need to, you need to drop that in. Hopefully that will fit fine. Lower fuselage here, obviously, there's a one-piece lower fuselage with all the intake and stuff separate. So this is going to be common to all the variants, I would presume. And also here, there's an F-16, there's the ADF fin base with the bulges on it, which they've included. Initially, they weren't going to include this, apparently. It was going to be a separate boxing, and then they decided to include it in the kit anyway. So you can do, and they included a Portuguese one, ultimately. So that will get used as well on some of the variants if you want it for this kit. So that's a really simple spruelet, just lower wing halves, lower fuselage, rear upper fuselages, and the fin base. And that is your lot on there. But again, I have to say, the actual engraving on this is absolutely superb. It's, it's up there with Tamiya in terms of fidelity of engraving. Whether it builds as nicely as that kit, we will obviously remains to be seen. But I will know very shortly because I'll be building it. So that's a very basic sprue, which, like I say, will presumably be common across all the variants. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Pavel, I'm quite happy with the beer cans on the wings. It's just it makes sense to me to have it there, have them there anyway. Just it's such a no-brainer to remove them for anybody who's built a couple of models. That I don't get what people are, I don't get why people complain about it. I would rather have them molded in and remove them than have to go through the trouble of getting them in the right place and cleanly on there. So as a personal sort of analysis or evaluation of the kit, I think that's an active positive, not just something where you go, yeah, that's okay. I actively like that, so I'm a big fan of it. So now we're moving on to the other sprues. So we've got this main sprue here where you've got so you've got the centerline tank there. Nose wheel. There's a variety of different instrument panels, which will obviously require some care to make sure you get the one relevant to your variant, shall we say. There's a couple of different gun muzzles for early and later F-16s. So I'm counting I'm counting 3 different instrument panels on there. You've got an F-16C fin base there, the F-16A fin base there, which along with the F-16 ADF on the other one means you've got pretty much all the variants of the F-16A fin base. You've got an extended, there's an extended, one extended tail for the parabrake tail. You've got an F-16C standard tail there. And then another standard F-16A tail there, which you'll need if you're doing a Danish aircraft. These here are the panels that go on the side of the nose with the radar warning receivers, I believe, on the side of the nose. That's one where I'm sort of, I as long as it fits okay, that's going to be fine. If not, that could be, I have had that be a little bit problematic on some models. Not terribly, but it's just something to bear in mind. So you've got these 2 inserts for the vent on the starboard side of the nose there that I referred to earlier. Really nice is that you've got left and right harm targeting system pods. So you can do, initially when the harm targeting system was employed on the Block 50, it went on one side of the intake, but then it needed that position for a targeting pod. So they moved the harm targeting system to the other side of the nose to that station, which means it's a mirror image. some of the earlier kits just had one targeting pod, so you couldn't you couldn't do the either nose position. More interesting things on here that I noted when I was looking at it earlier. You've got two bulkheads for the nose here, one for the normal scanning radar, the normal articulated radar, and this one here is presumably for the newer electrically scanned radars, which are fixed. They're not articulated. So in line with that, we've got a standard. I think that one's for that's a standard radar dish there for the articulating one. And then here you've got the one for the stuff like the APG 83 Sabre scalable agile beam radar, scalable agile beam radar Sabre, which is the fixed airborne or active electronically scanned array stuff that they use these days. It's being retrofitted to a lot of F-16s now, and all new builds have it as well. So you're getting an awful lot in this kit. You're getting an awful lot in this kit. It means that you do have to do your research and be careful about what you're selecting in terms of variants and stuff. But it's really, really difficult to have any complaints about the sheer number of sort of options they're trying to include in the kit for you. So let's have a look at these.
There's a couple of observations here. Paul Krukovic, hello Paul, says there were two main goals in designing of this kit: low cost and ease of build. The third was accuracy, but the other two were the main priority. And Christian Gerard says, hopefully Kinetic or someone else will release stiffener plates for the MLU versions. And Christian also makes the observation, nice, two types of gun muzzles, early and later. And Powell says there are some minor compromises in surface details when it comes to specific blocks, which I think is fair enough. You can't.
I mean, I'm in a position these days where I think if the most you've got to complain about is a couple of panel lines that might need filling or scribing, you've really got nothing to complain about, have you?
Have you met modelers?
Yeah, well, I know, but you know, we try and err on the side of being slightly sensible, don't we?
We try.
So the stuff that you can see on the duplicated one of the duplicated sprues, anyway. So it's stuff like the Aces 2-seat, rudder pedals, and so that tells you clearly that there's a twin seater coming. You got stuff like these ECM additions here, which go on the tail for some variants. So again, they're providing options that aren't necessarily in this boxing. You've got a bunch of LAU 128 launchers there, which will carry a sidewinder or an arm ram. And you've also got the earlier 16S 210 launchers, which only carry sidewinders. But you still see them about, surprisingly. I thought they would have been long gone by now, but you can still see aircraft carrying those 16S 210 sidewinder specific launchers. Excuse me while I have a drink of coffee.
That's a good idea, actually.
Sorry?
That's a good idea, actually.
And you've got the F-16 specific triple ejector racks here, which are multiple part to be built up. And you've also got the BRUs, the bomb release units, which are separate to be added into the pylons as you build them. Early and late style wheels. You've got three different styles of wheel hub, three different styles of wheels. So you've got the early and late, large and small wheels there. Sorry, I was a bit distracted there for a second.
That's right.
Tailplanes, just the large style tailplanes. And yes, it is right that they are duplicated. They're identical because those tailplanes on the real thing are identical. It's actually the angle of the rear booms on the F-16 that sets the dihedral or anhedral, the downward tilt. Anyway, it's the profile of the boom that sets that, not the tailplanes. They are completely identical side to side. So there you go.
Every day's a school day.
Yep. These little things. So we've got this is obviously this is a purely F100 engine because it's an F-16A. So all F-16As had the Pratt & Whitney F100 engine. So you've got a five-part nozzle there. Really very, very nicely detailed inside and out. Again, the decider for this will be how well it assembles. You know, if that goes together well, I really think it's going to be fine for 95% of modelers. They're not going to be looking for, you know, an aftermarket nozzle, really. And some of the other parts here, like the rings that go behind the nozzle itself. So things like that all look great. You've obviously got the one normal shock inlet, so it's a small air intake for the F100 engine on the F-16. But what you have got is you've got light and heavyweight landing gear. So you've got the relevant undercarriage doors for them. You've got the bulger ones for the heavyweight gear and the smooth ones for the early lightweight gear. Now, I'm not sure if any of the F-16As use the heavyweight gear. I think they're all lightweight. You've also got both styles of you've got heavyweight and lightweight main undercarriage legs here as well. You know, I'm really, really impressed with the amount of options they're providing in a base kit. It's, you know, it's kind of filling in the gap that that was left wide open by Tamiya, who have decided never to fill it for me. Oh, see John Connolly there. Funnily enough, he's just talking about the Tamiya kit. I don't think it surpasses it in general tooling because, you know, Tamiya is Tamiya. But there's certainly not much in it. And obviously the variants are coming. And you can see this is clearly broken down for a twin-seater. Will we get a twin-seater? You know, time will tell, but given what Kinetic did with the original F-16, it's witheringly unlikely that we're not going to get a twin-seater. Yes, Pavu says these main doors have got really, really big hinge lines, which are detailed on the inside as well, which will make setting the angles pretty much a no-brainer. They'll just more or less clip straight into place. Like I say, everything about this kit it pretty much impresses. And the stuff that doesn't is so minor, you know. So we've got this little sprue here. And on here we've got an ALQ one. I want to say 119, but it might be a 184. I'd have to check. There's no 131 in this kit. So it's a 119/184 again. Somebody else will know. I'll have to check. But you've got both of the lantern left and right pods. So this is the navigation, the radar pod for navigation. And this is a targeting pod that goes on the other side. In addition to which, you've got a lightning pod, a Raphael lightning pod, which a lot of F-16s carry these days. And you've got a sniper pod, which again, you tend to find these days aircraft carry the sniper or the lightning pod. And you'll see, I mean, the US Air Force flies both pods depending. John, you on that?
Yeah, I got it.
So yeah, you'll find that Lightning and Sniper are pretty much interchangeable. So some US Air Force units fly one, some fly the other, and NATO units fly one or the other. In fact, back in 2008, 2009, whilst RAF Tornadoes were flying with Lightning pods, the RAF Harriers were flying with Sniper. So even the RAF was buying, was employing pods depending on which aircraft.
Yeah. Observation from Powell. He says, "I'm not sure, but this pod sprue may be the only one left from the old Kinetic F-16. At least that was the plan at a certain point of the project."
Yeah, all I'll say is that looking at the quality of the engraving on this, it's completely consistent with the rest of the kit. So given that the original was one of their first models, and the engraving, it was okay, don't get me wrong, the engraving was nice, but it wasn't anywhere near as smooth and polished as this. So I think whilst it might have been a part of the plan early on, this looks completely consistent with the rest of the model to me.
Mm-hmm.
So my impression is that this is all new as well. I knew that was part of the plan to recycle that part of the kit, but I don't think they have ultimately. I think this is all new. But
perhaps they've recycled the original CAD, but they've just cut new.
Yeah, possibly, because like I say, this is just totally consistent with the rest of the detail of the kit to me. So there's that, and then we've got a duplicated sprue here. So I'll put that aside, and this is specifically weapons. So you've got a £2,000 JDAM there.
I keep wanting to call them £2,000 Jadlams. I'm sorry, lads.
Yeah, sorry, lads.
Sorry.
Yeah, anyway, so £2,000 Jadlams. So we've got GBU 16s here, which are £500 laser guided bombs. These are just they are eGBUs, so they've got the I'm looking there and I can see that they've got the GPS bulges on there, which hopefully means there'll be a cable duct somewhere on the sprue, which I'll look for later. You've got some more LAU 128 and 129s there. Good Lord. And you've also got an LAU 7A, which is a launcher that the F-16s never used. It's a standard LAU 7A launcher, which was, common for all sorts of aircraft carrying Sidewinders for many years. And that's actually really nicely molded. It looks like a fairly decent addition to the spares, shall we say. You've got a harm missile. Now bear in mind that this is duplicated as well. So everything here, so if it's got one, you get two in the kit. If it's got two, you get four. So you've got two of these JDAMs, four of these. You've got two harm missiles, which is really broken down into multiple sections here. Really quite impressively so, I would say. You've got a pair of AIM 120 AMRAAMs, and I'm just looking, and they also appear to have provided both styles of fin for the AMRAAM, so you can do an A or a later model. So the early A's had big fins, and the later ones had smaller fins. So moving on down, you've got a £500 JDAM there. So there's two of them. And quite often you'd see F-16s, certainly Afghanistan and other areas, they'd be flying with a mixture of the £500 laser-guided bombs and the £500 JDAMs. It would be sort of a mix of them so that they could cover all eventualities. You've got a pair of big GBU 24 Paveway 3 laser-guided bombs here. Don't tend to see that very often on F-16s, if we're honest. In fact, you don't really see it used that often these days at all. It's a hugely expensive it's a hugely expensive weapon, and it is used for very, very specific roles. It's not, it's not a round of ammunition like these smaller laser guided bombs and things tend to be treated as. It's a massively expensive weapon and is used quite sparingly. But it's nice to have a pair, and it looks very, very nicely molded as well. And then we move on to the sidewinders, where we've got, oddly enough, we've got an A9B nose here, which wouldn't be really applicable to any F-16. We've got an AIM-9L/M nose. We've got an AIM-9J/P nose. And then we've got the relevant parts for a AIM-9X, which is the latest high off-bore sight variant of the Sidewinder. For some reason, there's two Part 50s, and on both of the sprues in this, one of the Part 50s is missing on my kit. I don't know what's happened there. I don't know if it's just not been included or something like that. But yeah, so you've got basically you've got the makings, shall we say, of at least 4 different versions of the Sidewinder. Although you need a different set of tail fins for the A9B because that had the short span tail fins. He says, harnessing his knowledge of Sidewinders. So yeah, again, it's this is a great set of sprues overall. So this looks like it's going to be quite a generic weapon sprue. So you can expect probably there's nothing here that ties this directly to an F-16, if you see what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I would expect this to become one of their generic sprues. I mean, the Sidewinders are completely usable. Is it ideal they're in so many parts? Well, maybe not, but you can use them, or you can find alternatives. You know, most of us have numerous alternatives, and there are so many different aftermarket alternatives. You know, ResKit and people like that who do absolutely phenomenal aftermarket parts. So, you know, these are perfectly usable, and if you want something with a bit more detail and easier to deal with, the aftermarket's there for you. I have to say that the highlight for me overall, pretty much, as remarkable as it may seem, is the LAU-7A launcher, which is a great spare to have. Which means every one of these F-16s I buy, I'll have another pair of them, which I'm quite happy about.
John Potts got a question. He says, "Hi guys, any good reference books on the F-16A?"
I mean, I would say probably the photo reference book to as a point of reference for the A model is probably Lock-On number 2 from 1985. So you might want to do a trawl through eBay and other places like that and see if you can get a copy of Lock-On number 2 on the F-16A, which remains an absolutely phenomenal reference. There was a Daco book released 10 or 15 years ago now.
Yeah.
Which is also absolutely fantastic. If you're looking for a modeler's reference, those are the ones I would suggest you find, the Lock-On or the Daco reference, because they covered certainly the original Lock-On covers the F-16A almost. I mean, the F-16C hadn't even entered service when that was released. I bought that when I was still at school, and I'm in my 50s now, so that's how long that's been around.
Just going to say, Drew, I've just gone on to, well, this is pointing me to Amazon.com rather, but in the States, you can get the Lock-On number 2. You can buy it new for $16.99, or you can get it used for $11.04.
So I was down exactly right there. Yeah, Jake, I've got that as well. Jake Malampi's early Viper guide. Sorry, I've completely forgotten about that one. But yeah, all of these are just fantastic F-16A references, and highly recommended. It's also interesting because certainly that Lock-On shows you what the state of the art in F-16 models was. Read Air Publishing.
I'm just having a look to see what.
I'm being extensively corrected here by Pavu, who's dead right, because I've got these books as well. So, yeah, there are these are sort of slightly older books now, but they cover the the up to the F-16A Block 15 beautifully. Now the F-16, it's a F-16As are I've turned into a minefield, because the F-16A Block 20 is basically an F-16C Block 52 and a 20 skin. It was sold to the Republic of China, so that the Chinese wouldn't get upset about them getting advanced aircraft. In fact, they were getting extremely advanced aircraft, just looking like an older one. So yeah. And I suspect there'll be a Block 20 at some point from this model. And I know that the Mini Base are working on one as well, aren't they? So yeah, and instructions. I have to say that the instructions for me, they're better than they used to be in Kinetic kits, but they've still got that cheap photocopied feel about them, if you know what I mean.
I noticed that.
They're nicer than they used to be, shall we say, but there's still a lot of room for improvement in the instructions to make a completely, if they're selling it as the gold, aren't they?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
They're selling it as gold, not me. So I really think that a little bit more effort being put into the instruction sheets would still be worth the effort. But that said, it is better and much clearer than it used to be. Like I say, I hope this goes together as well as it, so you don't end up with a mess of detail. Because if this jet nozzle goes together well, I don't really see any particular requirement to look to the aftermarket. I mean, very similar in overall construction of the internals to the Tamiya kit, but it's difficult to see what you could do differently. So yeah, there's things like these panel inserts and things are all covered. It's telling you so that they've done their work, and they're telling you to remove the beer cans from the leading edge of the wings there. So how you and there's a little bit there that's showing you how it needs to look on the finished article, and it's also telling, like Pavu said, they've made some compromises in detail, but they do they are telling you what needs to be done. So they're telling you even these small bumps on the wing roots need to be removed, because they are what replaced ultimately the stiffener panels. The stiffeners that went on the F-16As to beef up the airframe. They were later replaced by these bulges, which sort of cover more chunky joints, shall we say. So moving across, we've got these inserts here that go on the side, including telling you to drill out. No, they're not even telling you to drill it out. They've included a separate part for the ID light that goes on some F-16 ADFs. They're painted over on a lot. The original F-16 ADF had an ID light like Canadian Hornets have got for night ID of aircraft they've intercepted. So that's really nice to see that included. I didn't notice that on the sprue. So yeah. Little panel here in front of the donut panel, which will be specific to I presume the F-100 engined aircraft. Have some slightly different detail later on when the F-16C, which has already been released, will presumably have a different part there. Undercarriage doors here, nose undercarriage door with the lights. So early F-16s had the landing lights on the main undercarriage doors, and then when they added the intake cheek positions for targeting pods, they became obstructed, so they had to move the landing light to the front of the nose undercarriage door. So that's covered here. All the assembly of the nose undercarriage there, your main undercarriage. again, like I said, they're only highlighting one set of undercarriage for this one because it's all going to be the original lightweight undercarriage with the relevant wheels and stuff. Again, only one type of undercarriage door referenced. Separate arrestor hook, which is quite nice. You've got a frame for the inside of the canopy to beef the inside of the canopy up, make that look nice. Obviously, more detail can be added as you want. So these aircraft at the moment have only got the fully articulating radar. None of them have got the advanced electronically scanned radar, so they've only referenced one set of radar parts for it, which will be a variation on the APG-66, which is the original F-16 radar, although later on in life, obviously with the MLU updates and stuff, it was given stuff like continuous wave illumination to allow it to guide medium range missiles. So you've got the fin here where they're giving you this is all for the early fin, for the early A fin, shall we say. You've got the fin cap there. They do include both fin caps because I think it's block 20s. They've got the early fin base, but an F-16C fin cap. So again, you've got your work cut out really, making sure that you get your variants right.
People building this kit are going to come out the other end more knowledgeable about the F-16.
Which I don't think is any bad thing. I mean, I think, the F-16 is very much, I wouldn't say it's as complicated as a Messerschmitt 109, but as a continually evolving airframe, there's a lot that can be, a lot that can catch the unwary out, even amongst fleets. Even the US Air Force is operating 3 or 4 mini fleets at some points, of various specific variants. So you've got the original small tail, rear of the tail fairing there, which in this instance is applicable, I think, to the ADF and the Danish ones. All the other European ones had the ended up, I should say, ultimately with the extended fin base with either a parabrake housing, as you can see down here, or ECM equipment for the Belgian ones, Belgian and I think Dutch as well. You've got multiple choices. You can have the flaps up or down. I know some people have complained about the leading edge flaps on this being molded in with the kit, because on the ground, when the aircraft is at rest, they are 2 degrees up. And some people have complained about that. Sorry, it's 2 degrees. If you're going to complain about 2 degrees, you can do something about it if it's that much of a problem to you. And nobody else has done that. Not even to me, I didn't get the 2 degree up setting. So I'm genuinely going to lose absolutely no sleep over that whatsoever, and certainly wouldn't be looking to modify the kit to represent it. Although if you want to do that, that's fine. It's nice to see that the LAU 128, 129s and the 16 S210s are identified on here as well. So if you've got the LAU 129, you can put a Sidewinder or an AMRAAM on there. If you've got the 16 S210 launcher on, you can only use a Sidewinder type, a smaller missile on that. It doesn't have the necessary connections for medium range, active or semi-active missiles. So you've got all the stores here. And, again, it's that they're identifying stuff for you. So the ANA AQ13 and 14 there for the lantern setup. A9M Sidewinder. The sniper there. And they don't make any. Oh yeah, no, they don't. No, they don't make any reference to the lightning pod that I can see, although it is included in there. So AIM-9X there, ALQ 184. There you go. I said it was a 119 or 184. It's a 184. GBU 31, JDAMs, AIM 120s. Like I said previously, with both different styles of fin, AIM 120A style big fins, and the compressed carriage small fins for later A's, B's, C's, D's. 370 and 300 gallon tanks there. So GBU 12 stroke 49. If you want to do a 12, you just got to remove the GPS domes from the nose. Although I thought it had a cable duct. I'll have to check that. As I said, GBU 24s there. Yeah, Christian, they've got both multiples of both different types of launchers, and like I said, on the actual weapon sprue itself, there's also an LAU 7A that you won't use. So you've got a spare there, and it's actually very nicely done. So a set of a diagram there showing F-16 AM stores possibilities. Oh yeah, there you go. Sniper XR saying there that Norwegians are the only people who use a sniper. So there you go. And even giving you, there's a little diagram there showing how the hard points are numbered. A nice page there of showing you how the weapons and stores, I should say, including targeting pods and things, need to be painted. GBU 49, they're showing this with cable ducts. Bear with me just a second. They're showing cable ducts on the GBU 49 here, which the aircraft does carry. So you've got GBU 12 here and a GBU 49 here. The difference between the two is that this has got GPS and inertial navigation as well as laser. So it basically is a JDAM and a laser guided bomb in one, whereas this is just laser guided. I'm just going to go back to the stores assembly page and see if... See, there's no reference here to adding any cable duct. So K11, K14. Oh, yes, there is. Yeah, okay, my bad. So you've got actually here a GBU 12 and a GBU 14 on each sprue, so you get two of each. So that solves that problem. So that's really nice. And the biggest problem with these cheaper photocopied instructions is really when you get to the paint schemes. They really don't, a photocopied set of instructions for the paint scheme really isn't great, is it? Nope. It's this is barely, certainly in the top view, it's really dark and washed out. It's come on, Kinetic, you can do better than this. This isn't good enough.
When you're trying to kind of like, especially when you've got different greys and things, and it all suddenly goes a bit.
Yes, it's it's come on, Kinetic, you can do better than this.
I get this with our instruction sheets with the Airfix ones. Is people then they then start going, oh well, I've got the instruction sheet here, and I've got a color chip of this, and the color doesn't match the color chip and whatever, and you have to try and explain that sometimes on instructions, especially when you're doing grays, you've got to kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? You've got to exaggerate the grey in order to actually show.
Yeah, on something like this, especially. I mean, let's be honest. The F-16 is largely grey. It's a collection of greys. This needs to be exaggerated. It needs to be, it needs to be emphasised. So, the underside of this one looks fine. The top side, where you've got the dark, where you've got the gunship grey sort of hood and stuff, and top sides. It's a mess. It's a mess, and it's if there's one part of this kit I would say I deem unacceptable, it's the instruction sheet. But on the other hand, it's still usable. So it almost seems churlish to complain about this, given the overall quality.
Yeah, stop being churlish, man.
Of the kit. So you've got a Danish one there, like I said, with a small fin base there, and also a Portuguese one. I thought the Portuguese one was an ADF, but it's not showing. It hasn't got the ADF fin base. Although again, ADFs, some had the fin base, some didn't. That was changeable as well. They have included it, so yeah. And then a stencil map, which actually is fine because it's just an outline of the aircraft highlighted. That's fine, isn't it? That works. That's clear. But as soon as you start doing this and adding dark shades of grey, it just, it's just. Sorry, I don't think it's acceptable. But there you go.
It's not big and it's not clever.
It's not big and it's not clever. Oh, let's have a look. So yeah, let's. Always the problem with. So it's just one set of clear sprues here, which are clear. So if you want one of the tinted canopies, you're obviously going to be spraying that yourself. But pretty extensive set of clear details for various head-up displays. So you've got the normal head-up display, and you also got the wide-angle raster HUD there on for Block 40s and 42s and stuff. So stuff like that, but all sniper pod glass. So you've got main canopy and rear part of the canopy in one, and then just this really extensive small part for all of the minor details. And you're looking at it, yeah, it's got it's remarkably, it appears to be I am going to do something I wouldn't normally do.
Are you checking to see whether it's got the bubble section?
Yes, and it has. It has, and the reason I'm checking is because it's got a bubble section, but it has no seam line. Which is, yeah, it's definitely, there's definitely a bubble section on there, but I can't see a seam line down the center of it, and nope, there is. Sorry, that's remarkable.
Well, I'm just checking the one I've got here, which is Tim's copy. Yeah, there is a seam line, Drew. I can see it straight away.
I can't see it on this. I can feel it.
Yeah, I just picked it out of the bag here. Yeah, you can see the seam line. Yeah.
If I can run my finger across it and feel it, but I can't see it on this one.
No, I can see it.
Well, if I catch it in the light just right. But however, that is a remarkably fine seam line. That is one of the best. That is one of the best pieces of molding of a canopy I've seen with a seam line. If I catch it right, I can see it. But honestly, I don't know what yours is like, but mine's nearly invisible.
No, mine's. As soon as I got it out of the bag, I could see it. But hey ho.
But it's incredibly fine compared to some.
Yeah.
Colour me impressed. Colour me impressed. Now I've got to. Oh no, I've got to try and get this canopy back in the bag now, haven't I? Duh.
So overall,
hang on, we're not finished yet.
All right, I'm sorry.
Calm yourself.
All right.
So just as a final, so.
Oh, the decals, yeah, the decals.
So there's your stores decal sheet, which is really nice, printed by Cartograph. So, you know, here endeth the discussion on quality.
Edward, take note. Printed by Cartograph.
Yeah, really nice details for sidewinders and different variants of sidewinders, especially. Yeah, there's just really nice. It's really nice. And then we've got the main
course,
the main sheet here. I know some people have obviously the people who are native to the countries represented. I know some people have said the Norwegian markings aren't aren't dead right, and the Danish ones aren't exactly the right proportions either. A bit like you with RAF roundels, so we can't be too critical. So yeah. Again, I'm not going to be churlish and be critical of those people, because we're exactly the same with RAF roundels, aren't we?
Yeah.
The proportions are off, we know. So, so I don't know what is wrong with these Norwegian markings. Sorry,
I will be able to tell you, because I've got the Norwegian roundel. I've got the 1-to-1 scale proportions for everything on them. So I'm going to scan the decal sheet, and I shall have a look and see what the issue is.
So I don't. So I don't know. And apparently the Danish ones are slightly wrong as proportioned as well. But in terms of printing, I think you can see that is just, well, it's world class, isn't it? It's cartograph. So there's not really any other discussion to be had, is there? Nope. It's cartograph. The quality of the printing and the decals is beyond question. It's just the accuracy of some of it might be open to discussion, shall we say? So that can go in there. So that is the Kinetic's new tooled F-16, and I'm just putting it back as we chat. And I have to say,
I can never get that kit back in the box the same way I got it out.
It's the same with kits in general, isn't it? So my general impression is that is a remarkable box of plastic. I think it's absolutely fabulous, and I look forward to starting one. Like I say, I bought this set of decals a while back from Lima November Decals for one of the new Denmark is repainting her F-16s in have glass. That's a nice picture, isn't it? So yeah, she's repainting her ones slowly in a have glass scheme. So I really fancied that, because the markings are low vis as well. They're dull red and light grey, rather than white and red. So that's the scheme I intend to do. So fairly simple little decal sheet there. So that's my plan for that. So as soon as I have got the never-ending Super Hornet or Growler done, that will be the next kit on the bench. So possibly, I would hope to have it done before Christmas, but if not, it'll be the over Christmas.
When you say it done, are you talking about the Growler, or are you talking about the F-16? Oops.
Well, no. Hopefully the F-16 will be my done before Christmas, or my over Christmas one. The Growler I'm hoping to finish in the next week or two.
Right.
Hopefully quicker than that. I've moved on to getting some weathering done on that now. So starting to dirty it up now. So trying to make it look like it's been on board with areas of sort of high foot traffic around, these areas out on the wings and things like that, without making it look like it's been dragged through a hedge backwards. So but it's it's pretty much never ending. It feels like. So it took me like 3 or 4 sessions just to get the undercarriage doors in place, because they're all sort of they've all got their own actuators and all this sort of stuff. So it took, and finally managed to get all the stores in place. So we're kind of moving there, aren't we? It's getting, stuff is happening. But those are they're the res kit resin exhausts, which I'm still working on. They're not actually They're not actually glued in place yet. They're just placing there. They are absolutely phenomenal. Breathtaking. But the thing is, I would suggest that the one thing it's taught me is that if you're going to incorporate aftermarket into a kit, get all the aftermarket together before you start the kit. Because I had to go up the back end of this growler last night with yes, exactly, and do quite some heavy work to remove a lot of the internal so that those exhausts would slide into place, because they are quite a lot chunkier than the kit items. So, which isn't what you want to be doing when a kit's at this stage. You know, you don't want to be trying to fiddle around carving bits of model away when you've reached this stage in the construction. So, yeah, it's getting there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that is.
Mr. Christian Gerard says, he says, attention. Right,
Yes.
got our attention.
No, he's absolutely right.
Yeah, he says the Danish AF. I think he means Air Force. The Danish Air Force.
Is that Danish? Are you joking? It's Danish as.
Yeah, the Danish Air Force still operates some Block 10 F-16As with the smaller horizontal stabilizers.
They do. They are probably the last people on the planet with. I think did the Israelis have a few small tailplane ones at the very end? I think they might have done, but other than that, yeah, the Danes are the only people who ever retained the small tailplanes on some of theirs, because that was the large tailplane was only for stability for bombing. It just added more stability for bombing. It never impacted the maneuverability or anything of the aircraft at all. So if they weren't using them for bombing, and that became progressively less important as they switched to precision guided weapons anyway, didn't it? So, but it just added stability in the dive, and that was the only reason for the big tailplanes. So everybody else went to big ones, and the Danes kept some of the small ones.
Christian Gerard also says, I'm missing the AN/ALQ 131 jamming pod, but Eduard offers both the deep and the slim versions in excellent quality. ResKit is also working on those. And also a couple of people commenting. Let's just try and find where they are. Oh, goodness me. You're never going to get your head out the door at this rate. James Tatum says it's nice to have an unboxing by someone who actually is knowledgeable about the subject. Yeah, okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you, James. But I tend to find with F-16s these days, I'm really running to stand still in trying to keep up. It's like some of the stuff that people have said here about like the searchlight, and they're pointing stuff out, and I'm going, I knew that. It just completely. So much happens with F-16s, almost year to year, that keeping up with it is just. It's become a Messerschmitt 109-esque.
Viewer Jared says, fair shout, not my field of interest, but Mr. Manton's masterclass is inspiring. Give the boy a raise. No.
The F-16 has been a part of my life since I was about 7 years old, and it's one that it's a classic, isn't it? It is an all-time classic, and it's been a part of our life for over 40 years now, and will be for another 30 or 35, I suspect. Anyway.
Brian Wilton says, it is not a kit that interests me, but that is some great knowledge from Drew. There we go. See, there's a lot of people impressed there. And Hobby Time says, Drew, haven't the US Air Force converted their F-16A to the QF drones now?
Some of their F-16As have gone to QF-16, yeah. It's just as stuff. I think I'm right in saying that there's even some of their very early F-16Cs have been converted to QF-16s now. So, it's giving you an idea of the age of some of these airframes that they're being converted to drones. So yeah, the F-16 has been around an awfully long time. When you think the Phantom was in production for just on 20 years, So the last Phantom was made in 1979, and the F-16 has been in constant production for 45 years now. So, you know, hopefully, I'm wondering if the F-16 is ever going to break 5,000 airframes. It's not far away from it now, but people are still buying it. So, you know, Bulgaria's waiting for Block 70s. Turkey's in the market for Block 70s. Who else? There's another European nation.
Oh, I'm sure Ukraine will be in the market as and when.
It would be, you know, Ukraine. It surprises me that that they haven't already. I understand the reasons, but obviously, if they're going to get modern Western fast jets, the F-16 would be the no-brainer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Joe Dawes says Poland.
Yeah, Poland's got 52 pluses, Block 52 plus.
Dave Fleming says Croatia. I don't know
Croatia,
if
yes. Oh, is it? No, Slovenia, I think, because I think Slovakia, because Slovakia, because Croatia's getting Rafales.
Yeah. I can't tell whether they're listing.
They're just listing Central European countries now.
Well, either that or this is their World Cup betting spread. So you know.
Yes, that's right, Slovakia. Yes,
Slovakia.
Whereas the Czech Republic has just said that they're returning their Gripens and getting F-35s. So, you know, it's all going well. It's all going off in Central Europe, isn't it? For various reasons.
Yeah, for various reasons.
Look for more interesting colour schemes and very late block F-16s shortly.
Now we're going to talk about this briefly, and well, I was excited today for at least 30 seconds, and then I went and had a look, and then I was not excited. And like I say, we tried to be positive and upbeat on this show, but every now and then you just have to kind of like comment on something, and this is Wolfpack, right? Now Wolfpack are a company that I have the utmost respect for their products. They have, well, I mean, blimey, I've got their 2.2 Buckeye, I've got their 48 scale T38 Talon. They do some phenomenal kits. They also rebox other people's models. And this is an example of that. They're doing a 48 scale Spitfire Mark 14C. I saw this and thought, yes, Wolfpack are doing a Spitfire. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, unfortunately, this is the Academy kit with no changes. Now, anybody
can we just move on at this point, please?
I really do want to move on because I don't want to, obviously, we don't want to kind of rubbish, certainly don't want to rubbish Wolfpack or whatever, but this, I think a kit like this, I don't think it does them any favors. I know it's a Spitfire. Spitfires sell. Perhaps that's part of their reasoning that they'll, they can sell some of these. But
Wolfpack do some remarkable products. This isn't one of them.
Yeah, I think that's a fair thing to say. It's not changed from its Academy iteration, and it's the Academy Spitfire. I've got to say, the Academy Spitfire 14 is actually a very good kit. It's a terrible replica. There's barely a shape on it that is correct.
I can remember, we often have the discussion about whether you could fit a Merlin engine under a lot of the Spitfire and Hurricane kit cowlings. You could probably fit a fairly large freighter ship's diesel engine under the cowling of this model.
I'll say you could probably fit the Rolls-Royce factory underneath the cowling.
To say it's bloated is to...
It's a shame because, like I say, it's actually a very good kit, but it's not a very good replica. However, if Wolfpack if Wolfpack feel that they can sell this, and there is a sufficient market out there who are just going to go, well, I'm not bothered by any of the shape discrepancies. It's an easy to build kit. It comes in an attractive package. It's well priced. I'm going to run with it. Who are we to say to people building that kit, you're wrong, right? If people want to build it, they want to build it. If it makes money for Wolfpack, fair enough. Personally, I don't think they're doing themselves any favors reboxing this, but it is what it is.
I mean, this just becomes stuff like this is just background noise to me, because it's immediately, it's immediately, as soon as you see who it's by, it's just immediately discounted as a possibility for me. Moving on is about, Edward are going to get on some Griffin Spitfires at some point, aren't they? So.
Jim Alcott says, was the Academy kit an original mold? Yes, it was. God, what
Yeah,
was
it
that,
was.
dude? 27 years ago or something? It was 95. 95.
Something ridiculous like that. But I remember some people did new noses and stuff for it.
I'll say, here we go. Christian Gerard says, I'm not a Spitfire expert by any means, but wasn't it?
There you go. Yeah, I think it was. Somebody did a really nice, But that's the thing, is that it was a really nice replacement nose that replaced the entire nose. The major identifier of a Griffin engine Spitfire being the entire nose.
Yeah.
So,
but there were still things wrong with it. The wings, the tail, the rear feet. It was one of those kits that it just looked wrong. It just, sorry about that. Sorry, Wolfpack. We're big fans of yours, but yeah, that's not.
That's a swing and a big miss.
Yeah, it's a swing and a big miss. But as and when they get around to doing their next new toolkit, we'll be there throwing money at them, quite frankly.
Absolutely. The T38 is still en route, isn't it? I think. Sorry, not T38. Was it them doing the F5? They've done a 48 scale 238E T38, haven't they?
Yeah, they've done the Talon, yes.
Yeah, I'm sure it's them that are doing a new tool F5EF, because the Dream Model one was expensive and quite basic.
Wasn't that 72nd scale? Yes, it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me just check a second. Wolfpack. Whoops, that's not how you spell Wolfpack. That's not how you spell anything. Wolfpack F5E. I'll just put F5E and see what comes in. That's dum 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 dum. Yeah, they did. 2023, and they did announce that they were doing a F5 and F5Es. So they were doing the single seats and the twin seats, and these were going to be 72nd scale. So yeah, there we go. Yep, they were going to do them.
There you go. So yes, so we'll be all over that when it gets released. And no doubt, I think they've shown some renders and stuff of it. I think we may even have also discussed it on this show as well.
Yeah. Anyway, well, fingers crossed. I mean, we'll perhaps we'll talk about that. Perhaps what we'll do in the new year, we'll probably do a kind of like an F5 special, and talk about our favorite F5 kits, really. So there we go. Christian Gerard says the Academy Spitfire came out at the same time when they released the 148 Hunter and MiG-21 kits. Here, the same good kits, but inaccurate replicas. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're MiG-29 for that matter, and their Su-27. Good kits, but not very, not very good replicas.
Jim Alcott says, "Will Airfix reissue their Mark 16?
Mark 14,
not 14. Yeah." I don't know. I wasn't aware that it had dropped out of the range. So, Gallic shrug here.
Yeah, big Gallic shrug.
Gallic shrug.
Gordon, yes, I believe there is, but nothing we can discuss.
Yeah, exactly. We unfortunately, we can't. I noticed that people go up to them at the show and they say, "So what's new for next year?" And it's like, well, you're gonna have to wait. It's like you're not. Yeah, exactly. Right. Where's my bell?
Well, that was very Viper-centric, wasn't it?
It was. Any other business?
No, I don't. I think we'll have to have a look at this at some point, though, won't we?
Yes. Yeah, we'll do that on. You're around Wednesday?
No, I'm on late this week, so.
Well, we'll do that. We'll do that next Sunday, though. We'll do it on the next edition of the Interesting Modelling Company. I forgot what we called it now. The Sunday Advent Service. There we go. Yeah, we'll save that for next Sunday's Advent Service. well, not my only other business, but I'm just going to start prepping for my next show because I'm such a professional here. I've got so many shows to do. But I've also got in the fridge a nice bottle of Tor Advent beer from Devon. You ever tried it?
No, can't say I have.
Lovely
Can't say I
stuff.
have.
Lovely stuff.
I'm going to go and have a cup of tea and maybe a slice of toast.
Oh, well, and also I'm going to say I did go to the Bristol BMSS show today. You might have seen a couple of pop-up lives I did, some more successful than others. It's nice to be there. For some reason, when I've gone to the show in the past, I've just kind of like gone in there, had a quick look round, waved at a few people, and then gone. Ironically, this year, because I had to write my op-ed for Brett's magazine, I thought, well, do you know what? I'm just going to park myself up on a table here, have a cup of tea, and I'm going to write the op-ed. And ironically, the op-ed was about model shows and about whether they are going to have to modify in future because of the post-COVID landscape. So no conclusions from me, just questions. But it was nice. I did see Jared and Kat there, so it was very nice to see them. Who else did I see there? Bob Partridge, Paul Lauday, Mr. Hills from Antics. So it was good. It was very good. And I stayed pretty much towards the end. Oh, Mike Holloway from Reheat as well. He was there. And obviously Robert Lane from Elan Miniatures. So yeah, it was a good show. And I was sat up on the table writing the op-ed, and I thought to myself, you know what? This is one of those kind of shows where I'm thinking, I don't want it to end. I'm enjoying myself here.
That's nice.
Didn't buy anything, but that's not the point. That's not the
Nice,
point. Also, right, one final any other business is when I was at Telford the other week, I did get hold of some of this, which is the AK. You got some of that, Drew?
Yeah. I used it for a lot of the chipping on my.
Well, I was going to say I got some the other day, and I've been. Let's get that. Shut that down. There we go. I was trying it out on the tail plane of this Spitfire, and do you know what? It's not that. That's one coat.
Yeah,
and it's really
the Zero I did last month. I used that for a lot of the chipping on it.
But in terms of a brushable silver that has all the properties of good old-fashioned Humbrol 11 or indeed airframe silver, I think
HB14 airframe silver.
HB14. I think the Holy Grail may have been found with this AK.
No, it's pretty good stuff. I thought it's pretty good stuff. What have I got?
I think our next trip down to.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
Matte aluminium is the one I got.
I just got silver. I think our next trip down to Glastonbury, to the JDAM shop. I'm going to get some more of these.
The JDAM place.
Unless I get to Frome first. It all depends which shop I get to first. And Gordon's made of Gordon. No, they're not lacquers. Jim would have got asked the questions. Are they lacquers? No, they're not. They are pure water-based acrylics. But honestly, this
very, very fine grained.
Very nice. Very, very fine. And Gordon J says model shows will need sponsorship in the future if they are to take place. Possibly. It's like I say, the problem you've got with models, not the problem, let me rephrase that. The thing that you've got with model shows is that a lot of the venues now are, obviously they have to make money. They're charging more money for the shows and whatever, for the venue hire. And it just starts to become a bit of a vicious circle.
There comes a point when the amount they're charging doesn't meet the amount they can make from the show. So at that point,
I mean, there were rumblings at Telford from people complaining that they were having to pay to get in. Despite the fact that they used to get in for free or something. So it's kind of like it's a tricky one, and it requires a certain amount of diplomacy. which is why I probably shouldn't talk about it on this show, because I'll say something and upset somebody, and that's it. So, here we go. John P. Huston says London Model Show next weekend is sponsored by a magazine publisher. So, I think that is pretty much one of the last model shows of the year.
Yeah, it must be. Surely there aren't going to be much going on in December, is there?
Well, I thought this show tends to be the Bristol Model Soldier show. Tends to be one of the later shows in the year, but this one is. Gordon J says, surely, Airfix and Revell could aid with the costs of Telford. Well, I don't seem to remember in the past that Airfix did. The problem you got with Revell is that if they can't get to the show, why would they want to support it?
Tricky
one.
It is a tricky one, isn't it? Because like Rob Mumphy says there's a break even things like table hire have doubled in the last year. At some point you're going to get traders just saying the amount it costs me to hire a table is not equivalent to the amount I'd make at the show, so I'm not going.
And there we go. And Dave Fleming says people were grumbling that IPMS may have to set a member's charge for Telford. Well, do you know what? If they have to, they have to. If that's the way we have to go forward with it, that's the way we go forward. Either that or you don't have a show. So
yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not saying they're going to do this, but I think at some stage discussions have to be had about where we go forward in this, because you can't run model shows in 2023 and beyond still thinking that we're in kind of like pre-COVID 2018 or something, 2019. So,
but then again, there's also the risk that the venues are going to price themselves out, and they're going to end up with dead weekends where they could have made money by hiring out, and people have pulled out and gone, no, we're not doing it. So it's a balancing act, isn't it?
Okay. Anyway, let's end on a high. Jared says, he says, had the pleasure of being awarded an IMC badge to go with my Gold Aircraft Award. There we go. Everyone's a winner. Everyone's a winner.
We aim to please.
Yeah, and Dave says IPMS used to charge members, so it's not a radical concept. No, it's not. No, and like I say, you have to adapt. You have to adapt to survive. So. I think I said that in one of my op-eds in MAI, which was, you either evolve or you stagnate, and we don't want to see shows stagnating.
It's not 2019, however much people may want it to be,
or 1979, as some people tend to kind of. Exactly right. Well, that's it. That's all I've got now. We will be back. Well, I'll be back on Wednesday. I'll try and drag a special guest along to talk about the show. And until then, I'd like to say a big thank you. A big thank you to Drew for tonight, and especially for his F-16, his Kinetic F-16 treaties, because I thought that was brilliant. That's exactly the kind of informed opinion we need on this show.
Half informed anyway. Like I say, keeping up with F-16s is a
you could the fourth railway bridge.
It could be. It's a hobby all of its own, just keeping up with F-16s. So. We
will say thank you to everybody who I did. Steve Moores, who says IMC badges fell victim to COVID brawn frog. Yeah, exactly, brawn frog. I did find the bag of them today, so that's why I handed one out to Jared at the show. So sorry about that, but I will pack them. In fact, what I'll do, actually, Steve, what I will do is I will put them in my my demo box here, so that next time I'm doing demos at a show, I will have IMC badges, or at least I'll have a couple on me. So there we go. Anyway, thanks to Drew. Thanks very much for his Kinetic look at the Kinetic kit, and I'm looking forward to seeing you crack on with that now.
Yes, like I say, as soon as I get the ever never-ending Super Hornet or Growler out of the way, we'll move on.
Well, I want to get a wiggle on, finish my Airfix ambulance off, and also because really Airfix Autumn finishes on Wednesday. So I need to get, I'm not going to get finished for Wednesday, but I want to get it finished for the end of the year. I certainly want to get this Comet finished as well, so I can enter at least the New Year period, if not the Christmas period, having a blank slate, relatively speaking.
Yeah, I would like a blank slate for Christmas, really.
I'll go down to the slate shop and get you one. So there we go. On that note, thank you, Drew. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight. We will see you midweek. So until then, stay safe, stay out of trouble. Mind how you go. Bye then.
Take care, all.